Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Torgersen, and I'm responsible for our Workday practice here in Norway. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this event, and I hope you had a good night's sleep and ready for 1 hour packed with useful insight into the best tools available to continue grow your business. Tietoevry has a large footprint and track record helping mid-sized companies in their IT operations. We have prepared this event because now we are able to support the mid-market companies also on the journey in the area of HR and finance. This is thanks to the fact that Tietoevry has gained the Workday Launch partnership. Workday Launch is a simplified, best practice-based implementation approach, perfectly fit for mid-sized companies, and my colleague Ollie will talk about this later. The trend we see today for mid-sized companies is to invest in one platform across both financials and HR processes. This enables unique insight and analysis to quickly respond to changes in customer demand. We have learned from the COVID situation that market conditions changes very fast, and we have to adapt to the new normal as fast as possible. And in many companies, people are the most valuable asset, even in your financials. And combining HR and finance is the key to healthy growth. I will now introduce today's host and pass the word to Christina. She will walk you through the agenda for today and other practicalities. So Christina, you're next.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for the introduction and warm welcome to all of you guests. I'm Kristina Zvelabilova, Workday consultant and also your host for this webinar. So let me get started by going over the agenda. This event is about HR and financial management with an emphasis on medium companies. So I'm delighted that we have a story of one of such companies to be shared today. Jeff Perkins, HRIS manager from Tikkurila, Finnish paint manufacturer with over 2,400 employees, will share his insights into their HR transformation journey with Workday. Then, Tone Huitfeldt from Workday will join us to demonstrate the look and feel of the Workday HCM and finance platform. And finally, as Tom already mentioned, we will conclude by a presentation about Workday Launch. Olli Räty from Tietoevry will tell us how to implement Workday via the time and budget efficient Workday Launch approach. We also warmly welcome your questions, so please utilize the Q&A functionality and we will answer your questions at the end of each presentation or come back to you via email. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and available on demand via the event landing page. And finally, I would like to invite all HR transformation enthusiasts to join Digital HR Insights community at tietoevry.com/digital-hr for relevant event invitations and insightful content. That's all for me for now, and it's time to invite our first speaker. So Jeff, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Christina. Let me start to share my screen right now. Can you confirm that you can see my presentation?
Seems it's coming up and now it's live, so you're good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so thanks, Christina. Thanks, Tietoevry, for the invitation to participate in this event. It's a pleasure to be here. I love talking about Workday, and especially for this event, talking about how Tikkurila has implemented and started their Workday journey. So let me continue the slides, and here's some of the agenda topics for today. So I'll quickly introduce myself and also the Tikkurila company, but then we'll get into the main content of this presentation, which is, what is this Workday doing for us and why did we choose it and where are we now on our journey? So you will hear the term Workday journey a lot when talking about Workday, and this is a very important concept. So I'll also be touching on that today. And at the end of the session, we will have time for some Q&A. So please do be throwing your questions into the question and answer session, as Christina mentioned earlier. Here's me, slightly different look than what I have today. This was pre-COVID, and now I have my COVID hair. I joined TickGorilla in May 2020. The Workday implementation project and HR transformation was already underway. Anyway, I joined in there as the Workday lead and took TickGorilla through the go live and into the production business as usual state. Before joining TickGorilla, I was working with a Workday partner for 5 years. So my experience now with Workday is around 6 years. And I had various roles with the partner as an implementation consultant, as a solution architect, and also performing pre-sales, supporting Workday and other colleagues in the Workday ecosystem. And prior to that, 5 years customer experience with SuccessFactors, so more than 10 years now with these HRIS solutions. So that's me in a nutshell. Regarding TickGorilla, in case you maybe don't know the company or the brand, so as Christina said, we are Finnish-based. We have been around in the Nordics since 1862, and we are, as you can expect with this type of a paint producing company in the space of surfaces and painting products. We have, of course, a lot of materials related to colors and designs, and our business has multiple brands. We are in the decorative paints, which is really consumer paint products, but also in industrial services as well. This Y354 Cumulus is our color of the year 2021. We also replicate that in our Workday environment to keep the branding emphasis on current topical colors in our company. What do we believe in? So we really believe that, by utilizing these products in a successful and sustainable way, we really can assist with building a brighter future. So this is, you will notice a lot of various colors and color schemes in these materials. And of course, coming back to what color means to individual people. So what is your story? How does the color that relates to you in your world? What is the story of that? So this is really part of our color journey, as it were, when thinking about surfaces and paints. And our story continues, but right now TickGorilla has just been acquired by the PPG Industries Incorporated from USA. So that deal actually closed last week. So we'll talk a bit about that because it's relevant for our Workday instance as well. Okay, so let's get down to the beef of the presentation. So about our journey. So why did we do this? Well, of course, Workday is a technology. Workday is a system. It's part of a big picture. And one of the things that TickGorilla's senior management team decided several years ago as part of our strategy was to develop a high performance culture. That includes, of course, standardizing processes, enabling managers and employees to be more self-sufficient, so enabling them to drive their own activities. Also transforming our HR delivery from HR doing things on behalf of the business to really enabling business to do things themselves. And behind all of that, also then this technology implementation was a part of that overall change process. And of course, by having a system like Workday, you can then standardize your data, standardize your processes, and you can also adhere to the various legal, regulatory, and security requirements regarding your people data. So this is why we started this overall transformation, part of which was the Workday implementation. And why did we choose Workday? Well, actually, this was quite an initial part of the project, of course, as you would all be doing if you're evaluating these different solutions. We did, of course, then evaluate competitor products as well. But for us, Workday was really chosen because it is really a mature, solid, and unified solution. And one of the key concepts of Workday, which I really like, is that they have built the system based on different frameworks. What that means in practice is that if you learn how business processes work, it doesn't matter whether you're using business process in HCM, in talent, in compensation, or in finance, the way the business processes work is always the same. So, and this applies to the security model, it applies to the reporting and analytics. So these frameworks are really key part of the concept of Workday. And one other key differentiator that is really important for Tikkurila is that with Workday, we're able to determine our future. We have complete control of the configuration of Workday. We can change it as we see necessary. So whenever our business changes, whenever our organization structures change, we can decide to do those changes ourselves. So we can really be self-sufficient, and Workday really enables this. This is another key advantage that was very attractive for Tikkurila. And of course, the common advantages all your people data, all your people processes in one system is really ideal. And of course, if you would then move to have also Workday financials, the advantages are even greater, as was mentioned earlier. So this image on the right, you will see this term power of one applied a lot with Workday, and that is really key. It really is important, and it really is true when you look at the system, look at the platform, look at the capabilities within Workday. So these were some of the decision points for Tikkurila to choose Workday over the competition. Then regarding our project, so of course in the pre-project stages we were evaluating the solutions, evaluating the partners. Once we had then chosen the Workday solution, kicked off the project, one of the first things that happens is really to get the training for the key persons who will act in the project. This is really important. That is enabling them to really get the most out of the workshops and the design sessions that are held. The next really key point, and Olli will talk about the methodology and approach a little bit later, but this is really a key thing that Workday has developed and established and continues to develop this methodology. It is proven to work. It is really proven to be successful. So it's really important that you adhere to that methodology. Of course, there can be minor deviations, but in high level and in principle, the methodology is the key to success. Then really challenge yourself, challenge your partner, be challenged, and make sure that you really understand what it is you're deciding. So Workday projects are typically really quick. And of course, then you need to make decisions quickly, but you also need to understand that you can make changes later on. So this is not a deliver it after 6 months type of solution, and then that's the final thing. You can still develop it and change it afterwards. And that's what we at Tikkurila are also doing. That is part of the journey. This is getting your hands dirty, and it applies also to the last point about testing a lot, but also don't see it purely as testing, see it as learning, because as I mentioned, Workday is a solution where you can really drive it and change it and manage it yourselves. So the more that you can learn during the project, the easier it is for you to do that. This was one of our key takeaways from the project, and we involved all of our HR partners, all of our HR associates, and also some managers and employees really to get the best out of the project, get the best learning experience for our people so that they could then become ambassadors and support this journey going forward. And then for the go live, of course, it's from a Workday go live perspective, it is a complicated thing. You are making a change from one system to another system, maybe from multiple systems to one system. So it is not a simple thing. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you all the basics of how to do this, but some of the key points here is of course, really think about all of the people who are involved and make sure that they understand the plan. When you're dealing with Workday, either from a HCM, so HR, or from financials perspective, the amount of data that you need to work with is really comprehensive, and it can be complex, and actually getting that data correct and getting the data accurate into the system is really time consuming. So you need to think about that very carefully, have good data processing experts available to do that. And of course, then if you have integrations from Workday, which is usually the case, particularly with payrolls or financial or external ERP systems or other systems, then make sure that those integrations are planned very carefully, make sure that payroll calendars are checked and things like that. You don't want to interfere with paying your people their salaries. And of course, having a plan B, as you can see on the right side, is always useful. So this really helps a lot. Okay, so where are we today with our Workday? So on the left side here, you can see the list of the Workday functional areas that we have deployed here at Tikkurila. So we have the core HCM, that is really the basic employment data, employee data, and so on. So this is really the core of the Workday HCM. Then we also have talent and performance. So goal setting, performance evaluations, calibration, things like that are implemented. We have core compensation, which is of course then your salary, hourly pay, your allowances, various compensation components like that. In addition, we also have advanced compensation. So this is where we talk about bonus plans, bonus payouts, salary reviews, etc. We also have Workday recruiting. So this is enabling us to create jobs in Workday, publish them to external job boards, or external career site, capture candidates, process those candidates through the recruiting process, and also then forward into the hire if they are the chosen candidate for the job. We also have time off and leave of absence. So this is enabling our employees and managers to request time off, so short vacations, and also leave of absence, which is typically longer periods, for example, sabbatical or parental leave. We also have multiple integrations. So we have 3 payroll integrations for Finland, Sweden, and Poland. And then due to the Russia data legislation considerations, we have a comprehensive set of integrations from Workday to the Russia data solution. And of course, then from an IT perspective, we have then the Active Directory integration for user accounts and email addresses, work phone numbers, and things like that. When we deployed Workday, it was a very conscious decision that we wanted to deploy it to all countries, all employees at the same time. So this, of course, you can also decide as part of your implementation project how you would do this. It might vary case by case. And of course, then you can also decide if certain of these capabilities are restricted to certain countries or not. So you have quite comprehensive flexibility to decide exactly how, when, and to whom the Workday would be deployed. And of course, now I'm talking specifically about our implementation of the Workday HCM area. And on the right side, you see a screenshot. This is actually from our test Workday environment. We have then added some spring flowers in the background to enhance the colors and make our HR users a little bit more happy when they're testing new changes. So this is really just an example from our Workday homepage from our test environment. Okay, so where are we today? So now we are live with Workday. We went live in beginning of October 2020. We are very successfully live. We had a super smooth go live. During that period, of course, it is quite a hectic time at the go live, but then we have been really successful with that. The way that we now manage our Workday from a development perspective is that we have 2-week sprint periods, and that's where we deliver improvements to our processes, optimizations of approvals, new reports, minor changes. We also have then, of course, would have bigger changes which then extend over those 2-week sprints, but we manage those slightly differently. And then we have a bit lighter process, which is really for very minor changes that we perform. And this is, of course, is possible once you have sufficient Workday knowledge to be able to do that. Because of my background, this enables me to do these minor changes quite easily and quite quickly as well. And then, as usual with this type of a system, thinking about monitoring the integrations, thinking about monitoring the data quality, Workday gives you complete transparency and access to these capabilities, of course, if you have the necessary security and permissions. And one other important thing is really monitoring how your business processes are performing. So this is not only is the process completing, but if it's not completing, where is it sitting? Is it stuck with someone? Has someone gone on leave and not finished their tasks? And of course, by doing this monitoring, we can also then continue the business flow. We can take action if there are any trouble spots in our business processes. One of the key objectives for implementing Workday HCM was really to enable this self-service for our managers and for our employees. And one of the ways that we are measuring that is by measuring key staffing processes and which percentage of those processes are being initiated or started by managers and which ones are being initiated or started by HR. And this is how we are measuring the success of our deployment. So have we really achieved our targets for this project from that perspective? So on the right side, you can see at the bottom of the right column some examples of our state of our deployment. So this percentages, this is really good. We have a target for about 75% manager self-service, MSS. And this is with some of the key staffing processes. So not all processes are included. On the right side, you can see some of the key data points of since we've been live. We have delivered a lot of changes, which is really important. As I mentioned, Workday allows you to control, manage, develop the solution yourself. So we have really taken advantage of that. We have not had a lot of incidents or problems, so really very few. And this is due to the quality of the project that we performed, and maybe partly because of my background. And then some of the key processes that we have executed. So we really, as I said, we went live in October, and then in November we already performed or did this performance evaluation and calibration for 2020. So this was the first real big business process that we kicked off as part of our annual performance cycle. We've also done goal setting in 2021, and we've also done the salary review for Finland. So these are some of the key things that we have achieved so far. The feedback from our business users has been really positive. Some of the comments here are from our managers and employees. I won't read through those ones, but you can get the feeling that the business really likes this. They like the fact that it's adaptable. They like the fact that we can respond quickly if they need to change something. So this is really, really important for our business people. Some of the key takeaways. So Workday really is flexible. Some might say it's even too flexible. So you need to really think about what you want to achieve with Workday. And one of the key things, as I mentioned, for our evaluation was this ability to control, develop, change Workday as we need based on our business. And one example is really this PPG acquisition of Tikkurila. So both of us have Workday HCM, and because we are based on the same platform, of course, we have some advantages for this integration work that we are just starting, but it means that PPG and Tikkurila will work together and we will make adaptations to Workday ourselves to support this change. The second point is really when thinking about this and during your project, you should really think about how self-sufficient do I want to be? Do I want to do everything myself? Do I want someone else to do it for me, or do I want to have a mix? In our case, so from a functional perspective, we do everything internally, but from a technical perspective for our integrations, we outsource that to a partner. So this is really the flexibility of deciding how much of the control or work for Workday you want to perform yourselves. And I think the last point here on the left is really key, and this is something that you should really take to heart, is that when you're starting this journey, it really is a journey. So if you try to get 100% perfection at go live, then your project will never end. So there will be some compromises, but you have to also remember, as I said, that you can change things afterwards. And this is something that you really should consider as an important decision factor for Workday. All right, and then now that was the wrap up for my overview. So now I think we can have some Q&A if there are any questions. Christina, do you have anything for me from the attendees?
Yes, Jeff, there is a question. Did Workday sufficiently support your strategical shift towards more manager and employee HR self-service?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, as I briefly mentioned here with the statistics and the KPIs. So yes, this was one of our key objectives. And of course, again, Workday is a technology, so it's only part of the story, as it were. So of course, there is change management, there is communication, there is training, there is monitoring, there is the whole cycle of what is happening, how do we adapt based on that. And of course, with the data I show on the screen here, this is only a short snippet of the actual data. We can analyze this, these measurements at a business function level, at a country level, so that we can then take corrective actions. But yes, absolutely, Workday with the security model, with the self-service capabilities, has really, really enabled us to achieve that. It's not 100% perfect yet, it is still an ongoing process, but absolutely the ability to enable and facilitate self-service for managers and also employees is really, really good, and it's really appreciated, and we really are happy that Workday has helped us to achieve that. So yes, hopefully that answered that question.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for the answer. And there's one more question.
Okay.
In our company, we are looking for a new HR master system. Do you have any recommendation on how to get internally ready for the transformation?
Oh, yeah, that is also extremely good question. So yeah, as I mentioned regarding, of course, it may not be necessarily tied to your strategy, but I think, as I described, Workday is a one piece of a big puzzle. So really, if you're performing a real complex, or not necessarily complex, but comprehensive transformation of your HR service, like we did in Tikkurila, then really think carefully where you want to be, not just during the project, but 1 or 2 years down the line. So think about the journey rather than the finite endpoint of a particular project. Of course, then think about what's best from your own organization, how much change is involved with that transformation, because some organizations are more ready to accept change, others maybe need a bit more time to take that change into effect. So I think there are a lot of conceptual and let's say a lot of conceptual thinking that you would need to consider when thinking about this sort of transformation. There are quite common best practice models for HR service delivery in the world, and of course thinking about those options, thinking about those capabilities, how they fit to your business model, those are all key considerations as part of that. And as I said, Workday is just one piece of that puzzle. It's a great technology that lets you to really support the process of transformation. Okay. Any others, Christina?
No, it seems that that's it as of now, but
Okay.
Once again, I encourage anyone to utilize the Q&A functionality, and even later during the event, we can come back to your questions via email.
Yeah, and I will stay here for the duration of the event, and if anyone would like to reach out to me via LinkedIn, that's fine. We can have an offline chat about Workday as well if you want. So thank you, and I will then hand back to you.
So thank you very much, Jeff, for your insightful presentation about Tikkurila's Workday journey. And now it's time for our next speaker. We have a small change in the agenda, so I would like to invite Olli Räty to tell us a bit about Workday Launch implementation methodology approach. So Olli, are you ready to tell us a bit about Workday Launch?
Absolutely. Thanks, Tina. Can you see my empty desert picture on your screen?
Yes, we can see your empty desert. So hopefully there's some content coming up as well.
Yes, let's make that happen as well. Thanks, Tina. So, hey, and from my behalf as well, welcome to the event. So, my name is Olli Räty, and I work as a lead HCM consultant here at Tietoevry. I have a history with Workday around 9 years, I would say. I started on the customer side, and we did the first Finnish-based Workday implementation 9 years ago. And I saw something in the technology back then that kind of flipped a switch in my head, and I decided that this is something that I want to do more professionally. So a bit over 5 years ago, I jumped on the consultancy train and joined Tietoevry as a Workday consultant. I have been part of multiple end-to-end implementations doing HCM lead and solution architect roles, also focusing on talent and performance and absence. And then the other, let's say, half of me goes to the pre-sales. So I work as a pre-sales lead also here at Tietoevry. And let's look at today's agenda. So I'm going to touch upon a bit also what is Workday. And I know that there are many participants who know Workday already and has background with the technology, but I maybe will highlight some things that I especially like with Workday. Then after that, let's focus on the actual topic, and that is the Workday Rapid Deployment Methodology, or Workday Launch as we call it. And lastly, I will share you some examples of timelines, so what you could expect when going in with Workday and Workday Launch into the implementation, that how quickly would you in theory could go live with your solution. Drop questions into the chat. Let's take them at the beginning, in the end, and also the same logic goes that if you realize something during your nightly sleep that you want to ask me, then just send me an email or us email and we will get back to you. So why Workday and what it is? Workday was born into the cloud in 2005. So when I say born, I mean that it was built from the ground up into the cloud and not patched together from many different solutions and technologies, as we maybe see with our competition at the moment. And this, of course, has given Workday this unified feeling of one platform. And as Jeff mentioned, there are thousands of companies that have implemented Workday using Workday methodology. So the methodology is proven to be very successful, and it is in use in every single Workday implementation that is done. As you might know, Workday also has a heavy footprint here in the Nordics, which is a very positive thing. So thinking about the community, you have a lot of people to talk about and brainstorm regarding your Nordic solution and functionality. So when I started with Workday, it was maybe aimed for the larger organizations, usually around maybe 3,500 employees minimum. And this is, of course, not the case anymore. So today, I will be talking about Workday's this rapid deployment methodology that is also suitable for mid-size and on the smaller sized companies. So Workday is one platform, unified platform to manage the whole employee life cycle from hire to retire, as well as at the same time on the same platform, the financials and planning and analytics. And because everything is on one platform, with Workday, you will get one source of truth for reporting, and that goes across the platform, across the functionality. you will get one version. So every single Workday customer is using the same version of Workday. You will get one security model across the platform. You will get one experience for desktop, or if you're using Workday with iPhone or iPad or Android device, you will get the one same experience. And also, as mentioned, you will get one very lovely community around Workday. So then, what is Workday launch and what is Workday launch methodology? So Workday can be deployed using one implementation methodology with two variations. So the first one that I will very quickly talk about today is Workday Your Way, that has been more traditionally aimed for the larger customers. And it includes almost fully customizable setup and content. And with this Your Way methodology, the implementation time is traditionally a bit longer than compared to the launch that I will talk next about. So the second methodology variation, that is our topic for today, is the Workday launch. So Workday launch is initially designed to more smaller customers, but today also larger customers, over 3,500 employees, are taking advantage of this Workday launch methodology as well. And it is a rapid deployment methodology and a rapid deployment option for Workday. And what it does, it takes advantage of these predefined setup and packages. As said, Workday has been implemented thousands of times, so we kind of have very good understanding and baseline for the setup in place already, and that is taken into use with Workday launch. And what it will do, it will cut down time that you will need to spend on, let's say, sales process, the contracting process, and most importantly, actual deployment process. So you can get the kind of quick return of investment and can go live with Workday more quickly. And as said, when it was developed, Workday took everything they had learned from the past deployments, and they kind of designed these packages that are delivered with the critical functionality that customers typically need to set up a strong foundation using Workday. And because much is pre-configured, customers can get up and running with the faster and more predictable time frame. And when we talk about shorter implementations times and less time spent on talking about the details of the design, we also talk about cheaper cost. So to summarize, as said, by offering fixed fee and fixed scope packages and simplified contracts, the contracting and negotiation cycle will be reduced. It will also reduce the risk for the implementation and speed up decision making, and through that overall implementation time. So that is on a kind of high level the launch approach. But if we go into the details a bit more and look at what you will actually get with launch. So preparation and scoping is the key with Workday launch as well. With every project, but especially with Workday launch, the preparation and scoping is the key. So before the project, you will design the content of your packages with Tietoevry and Workday, for example. And I see it a bit like collecting items to your shopping bag. So with Workday launch, you will get these base packages that includes the core features and functionalities like setup for core HCM and or finance. You can decide, of course. And as an example of this base package for HCM, it can include, for example, the default business processes for HCM with employee lifecycle management. It can include absence management setup, advanced compensation, benefits, mobile dashboard, standard reports. So you will get like hundreds and hundreds of these ready-made reports, standard reports into use. It can include onboarding setup, but then we know and appreciate the fact that, of course, certain things are different in certain companies, And therefore, we have also some business processes that can be and will be modified based on your specific needs. And these business processes are the more, let's say, heavy volume lifecycle processes like hire, termination, change job, and so on. And on the finance side, the base package can include the setup for areas like accounting, banking and settlement, customer accounts, customer contracts, financial users. The same thing with mobile and dashboards and reporting as we have on the HCM side, the supplier accounts, and so on. So those are kind of the base packages that you get. And then you can modify these base packages to include more functional areas. So for example, if you need talent optimization, time tracking, and recruiting, you can include also those functional areas into the package. And on top of this, you will be able to add some additional scope into the scoping pack or shopping pack if there is something very customer specific that we know that we need to figure out and build during the implementation. So let's say there is a very strict custom ID requirements on your payroll system, for example, and that takes some time to build in Workday. If we know that in advance, it's good to include that also into the estimation. And of course, at last but not least, we have the integrations included where we kind of take this a la carte approach where we take advantage of the pre-existing interfaces and technologies and logic when building the interfaces. Also, what Jeff mentioned multiple times, and I want to highlight as well, is that you will be able to get the training packages from Workday to kind of ensure that you will be able to take the full ownership of the solution after go live. And I want to stress this, that when getting Workday, one of the biggest things and favorite things in Workday is that customers can do a lot and they can take the true ownership of the solution after the go live. You don't need to always invite 20 consultants to build something. You can have a specialist in-house who can do these things on their own as well. So not going into a lot of details here, but I just want to illustrate in this picture some of the launch deployment lengths with different packages and also the add-ons part. So for example, here we can see that HCM can be in theory implemented in 18 weeks with the base functionality. Then with financials, it can be 20. And then if you combine financials and HCM, it could be 40 and so on. Then you have the add-ons on the right side of the screen where you can see that if you want additional functionality, we will build the scope for you based on that. Then some key launch principles. So when going in with launch methodology, I would say that take at least the following key principles into use. So I reflect on what Jeff was saying, that Workday implementation is a journey. So you will not be ready with Workday when you go live. If you implement it with your way or launch, the go live date, on go live date, the Workday won't be ready. The system will all the time develop. You will develop. So what is true on the day one might not be true after 1 month. And to be able to implement Workday rapidly and effectively, you should only focus on deploying the critical functionality with Workday first. Workday implementation, as said, is a journey. So take this into consideration and don't stress getting too much functionality into the system for the go live date. There might be some critical things that are needed, but then if something isn't critical, consider if you can do it in a phase X, for example. It is good to understand that you will be able to configure Workday on your own. So put effort on that and taking the knowledge in and taking advantage of Workday's trainings wherever possible. So you will be able to do this in practice also after the go live. Then if we look at the overall timeline and the methodology, I want to highlight here that we have a separate preparation stage also with launch methodology where we will kind of lock down the statement of work and make sure that we get the scope ready. And after that, we move into more, let's say, iterative method of building your solution. So similar also to your way implementation methodology, we will move forward in a very iterative method. And with that, we will build multiple iterations of your future environment during the project. So when we go live, we will be kind of this well-oiled Workday implementation machine where everyone knows what is happening, what is the configuration, how our Workday is looking, and also where to get the data, because everyone understands that when going from system A to system B, you need to be quick with the data because it will expire and you will need to kind of move and take that jump. And to kind of summarize my quick session, I want to highlight these things that Workday launch will bring you pre-configured solution, as much as possible pre-configured solution with a package scope that is clear in the beginning of the project. It will give you the possibility for a fixed fee approach. It will give you a predictable timeline. It will give you ready-made embedded analytics and dashboards and possibility to get training packages from Workday to ramp up your Workday business. And as always, Tietoevry is very happy to help. So please just be in contact and have a chat with us or with me, and we can talk details with you and guide you through the process if and when needed. Thank you, everyone. That was my 15 minutes of fame. Tina, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. And actually, there is one question for you.
Okay, shoot.
So, what if we do not know all of our needs before the implementation? How is the change managed?
Yeah, this is true. You don't know what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So there are always changes and things kind of are brought up during the implementation. When we look at one thing, we figure out that something else needs to be changed. And with that, in Workday launch methodology, there is very, I would say, good change request methodology included. So we know exactly kind of how to handle if there is a critical need, that we need to look at the scope and how that will impact, of course, the timeline or the price or whatever. That being said, I think it is also very good to understand that our consultants have been trained with launch, especially to say no in a very gentle way, and we will try to make absolutely sure that the change that we are looking at is a very critical thing that we need to include into the scope. So it is, of course, the implementation partner's responsibility to make sure and ensure that, okay, we understand that this is a critical change, but is it really super critical? Do we need it on the go live, or could we look at that, let's say, 6 months after the go live? So it's kind of this type of discussion that we go through, and if the change is needed to be included, then we have a process how to include that into the scope. Good question.
Great. That was the only one as of now. But as we have mentioned, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out either to me or directly to Olli.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, Olli, for your session about Workday launch. And now I would like to invite back to the stage Tonne Huitfeldt from Workday. He's going to show us a demo of Workday HCM and Finance platform. So Tonne, welcome back.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
That's good. Let me know also when you can see my screen.
It's coming up. And we can see your screen, so you're good to go.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll try again. So my name is Tonne Huitfeldt. I'm a financial solution consultant at Workday. I'm stationed in Norway. And I'm going to give you a short introduction and just a view into the Workday system in these next 15 to 20 minutes. So what you're looking at now is basically just the login screen into Workday. So I'm going to log on into one of our power users. She is called Logan McNeil. She has a lot of privileges in the system. So one of the first questions I get when I do this demo is, in our organization, there are a lot of segregation of duties. We're not allowed to create a vendor and pay the same vendor, etc., etc. So don't worry about that. I'm going to do a lot of different things in the system here that you probably wouldn't be able to do in real life. But in order for me not to have to change so many personalities and log in and out of the system all the time, I'm going to just stay on as this user. So what you're looking at now is, first of all, what we call our applications is basically the work area. So depending on your role, you will be assigned one of these tiles or one or many of these tiles, depending on what your role is. And this is basically where you go in to look at different things, everything from recruiting, procurement, your pay slips, basically everything. This tile will be modified to you. Then up here you have your inbox. This inbox is where you get all of your information. This is where you take all of your different actions from. This is where you do everything. And this is more than just like an email inbox. This is where you actually, you can click buttons, you can go back and forth into different systems. Up here in the search bar, you can search for anything you want. It's like a Google search. So you can search for tasks, reports, and everything. Here you also have some announcements from your organization if they want to share something for you. And here also you just have an inbox where you can look at different, also just basically a copy of your inbox here. So what I'm going to try to show you guys today is where the value lies for having an HR and finance system together. So what I'm going to start off with going through a scenario where I want to go in, I want to see how our company is doing. So I'm going to first go into our financial executive scorecard. I'm going to click into this application. And from here, you have all of the different KPIs and metrics that you as an organization has set up. This is obviously real time. So whenever there's a transaction or anything happening in the underlying system, that will automatically be reflected here. And the nice thing about this is that it is drill down. So you can go into the exact underlying transaction. You don't have to just rely on aggregated numbers. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So I see here these different KPIs that we set up. That's well and nice, but I want to go in and I want to see our consolidated income statement for our whole group. So I click into our net income, and I get this consolidated financial statement for our whole group. This is basically obviously configurable, and you can change it as you want, but this is the way we've set it up here. You have your current year actuals compared to your budget. You have what is the difference here. You have some icons to show, are we close to the threshold? Are we far from the threshold, etc. And then prior to your year-to-date actuals, and then also the percentage right here. What I want to do is I want to go in, I want to see our travel and entertainment costs. And I want to see that our current year actuals are quite close to our budget. So I want to drill down and I want to see what are they comprised of. So I choose this related action button right here, and I want to filter it by company. So I want to see what companies in our group are the one that are spending most on travel and entertainment. So I open that, I sorted descending, and I can see that the US branch is the one who's spending the most. And just for your information, our test or our demo company here is called Global Modern Services. So Global Modern Services is a fictitious group that is stationed all over the world. And so we can see that our US branch is doing the best. So I want to say, okay, I want to see what cost centers in our US branch are spending the most money. So I, again, here can go in, filter one more level, see, okay, I want to choose cost centers. you have all of these different dimensions, but I'm going to choose cost centers. So I click that. Again, I go in and I filter. And here you can see field sales North America. Obviously, our field sales are the ones who are spending the most. They are the ones that are out selling. They have to travel. They have to spend money on dinner and everything. So I can see that they are the ones who are spending the most. And then I want to go in. I want to see, okay, who in the field sales or organization are the ones who are spending the most. So I go in and I choose worker. So I filter it by worker, and here I have the different workers, but I also want to see, okay, what are they spending on? So I choose expense item, and I filter it again. And here you can see then you have a grid on what are they spending it on, or what are the here are the employees, and what are they spending it on. The nice thing here is on the top here you have a different icons. You have you can print it to PDF, you could export it to Excel, you can put in something called worksheets, which is Workday's kind of Excel version. But you can also just do some graphs from within the system. So here you have the different. This is a diagram. You can go in here and you can choose, do I want columns? Do I want line? Do I want donut? Whatever you want, you can choose. You can even go in and configure different colors, etc. So this is just to visualize the whole thing a little bit better. And kind of the beauty here is I wanted to show you that you can drill down to a single transaction from your just from a financial executive scorecard all the way through a consolidated income statement and all the way through to a single transaction to make sure that all of your data is accurate. So I want to go in, for example, I want to look at Brandon Harris's airfare. So I go in here, I click, and I see all of the transactions that are related to his airfare. So I see here expense report, expense report, expense report. And I want to drill down on one of these expense reports and see, okay, what is this expense report exactly? So I open that. And the first thing I'm going to get is basically the journal, the accounting information on this transaction. So here you can see where it's been posted to and what it's all about. But what I want to do is I want to go in, I want to see the exact expense report. So here we can see the exact expense report, and even in some cases they've attached the receipt as a PDF or a picture. You can find that here as well. But here I can see, okay, there was airfare 451 at this and this date. So what I've been able to actually do now is drill from just a KPI report all the way to a consolidated financial statement and all the way down to a single source transaction and a single expense report from one employee. And that I can see that when I talk to our customers, that is extremely important when it comes to full data accuracy and everything in the system. So that's kind of from a financial point of view. And then I want to see, or I want to show you guys the value of also having an HR system in conjunction with this finance system. So in any other system, at least that I've worked, these things aren't connected. So then if I was wondering anything about Brandon Harris, and he wouldn't probably even be a name in this financial system, it'd probably be a code or something like that, I would have to log out, log into something else, do a lot of different stuff and try to find out about who is he and contact him or anything. So what I can do from here, and this is basically due to the way Workday is built and some technical features which we're not going to go into here, but I can navigate directly from my financial statements into one employee. So here I'm just clicking this related action button that you can see here. And here I get all the information of Brandon Harris. I can see here, this is his phone, this is his email, etc., etc. And again, just to emphasize this point, obviously this will be subject to security. So there's not like everyone can go in and roam and do all of this stuff in the system. Obviously, if you have the security, then you can go and do this. I just want to show you kind of the art of the possible. without having to log in and out of different users all the time. So I go in and I see Brandon, and I want to view his team because maybe I want to check, okay, who is his manager? Do we need to talk to the manager about the spending, etc., etc.? So I just click on, I view his team. I can see he's a member of Angela's team. Again, I can see which team Angela is a member of. You see here, I can click in on each of these again, talk to them, take related actions, contact them. I'm not going to do that in this setting, but then I want to see, okay, I look at what is his job, all of his information here, and I want to look at talent as well. So he's out traveling a lot, and we want to see, okay, is this a guy which is at risk of maybe quitting or being lost to a competitor or something like that? And we have all of this information that we put in, so we can see that he's an outstanding performer. So obviously, maybe that's why he's out traveling a lot. He's a medium risk of leaving the company, and if we lose him, it will be a significant impact on our organization. So what I then want to do is I want to maybe give him some added stock grants to keep in the company. So I can just go from here. I can choose compensation. You can see there's a plethora of things I can do here, but I want to just go in here. I want to add a stock grant. I'm going to open that here. And here I have, when it comes, all of the information. So just choose which date. I'm going to choose today. First of all, I can see the history of his different stock grants. So I can see when is he getting, when is he invested, etc. And then I can just go in here again. I can apply for it. Depends on if you have a process where you have an application or if you are actually the manager, you can do it right away. But I can go in here and I can put 10% was maybe quite a bit high, type of vesting schedule, etc., etc. I just submit it, and it goes through the process, and he gets his restricted shares. So that was one of the things I want to do. But then I want to go down. I also want to see some different reports. So one thing is I want to see the if I was looking at those expense reports and I was saying, okay, he's spending a lot. Let us just check how many expense report he's had out of policy. And that can be anything from just an expense report without a PDF, or an expense report without or over a threshold or something like that. Doesn't have to be anything important or like anything critical, but at least something I want to talk to him about. And you can see here that he's had 21% of his expense reports are out of policy. And again, here I can go in, I can drill down and look at each of these expense reports and see, okay, what was it about? I'm not going to do that now, but here you can say, just like I did from the consolidated income statement, I can drill down and I can see, okay, what was the expense report about? And then there's another report which is quite nice as well, and because I want to see also in Workday, because this is one system. We have financials together, we have HR together, we have all the different business assets together. So some assets are depreciable, obviously, which a laptop, for example, maybe a company car, stuff like that. Other assets are just things that you don't need to depreciate, but it's important to know that what you've given to your employee at that point in time. So here you can see that he has a laptop, and he has a building access card, which is basically not that important, and he has a widescreen monitor. So again, we're not going to go into it now, but all of these assets are registered, or the assets that need to be registered in accounting are registered in accounting, and the other assets are also just a registry. So on this one employee, I have all of the stuff which is related to him. And let's say I retire an asset, or let's say he loses a computer, that will be logged here. Or if I want to give a computer to another person, maybe he gives it to the next. You give it to the next person which is starting. Maybe he's retiring, and you give it to the next person coming in. All of this stuff will be tracked. Everything will be logged, so it's super easy for everyone at any point in time to know all of the different assets. Then I want to go just a little bit further down on this talent piece, which I gave you a short introduction to that short field. And one thing is, okay, I want to give him stock grants. And again, here you can do everything from put in skills, put in edit goals, reports, etc. But at least we in this company, we're very focused on recognition and togetherness. So what I can do here is I can give the employee some feedback, and because each employee has like their own page where when someone is happy or you want to give some good feedback to them, you can write it, and that will turn up on their page or internal page. So I can go in here, I can give him some feedback, I can write great news. I can choose, do I want it to make it visible just to his manager or to the whole company, or maybe just to him. So that's one way of giving feedback. But then you could also, you can also give everything from a mentoring schedule, reports, everything to how the employee basically develops throughout the whole lifetime of the company. So that was basically trying to show you guys the value of having both HR and finance together, that this transition is seamless. And these things, very often people think of finance and HR being different areas, but so much of these things intertwine, everything from payroll to expenses to business assets to everything. And being able to have everything at your fingertips at one point in time is super, super powerful. And I hope I showed you that. So I think we're out of time now. Do we have any questions?
Yes. Let's take one of them. What should come first? Should you first start to realize value on the HR or finance side?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, the way I see it, it very much depends on your company. So are you HR driven, or are you finance driven, or where does your company want to change first? Because the synergies come together when depending on where you start. So it's basically a case by case. If the company is HR driven, then it usually starts with HR and then finance comes after, or finance comes first if it's from the finance department, and then HR comes afterwards. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we ran out of time, but we can come back to it via email. So thank you very much, Donne.
No worries.
All right, so this presentation has wrapped up our program for today. And now let me finish with a couple of practical informations. I would like to share a few contexts with you. Thank you all. Thanks to the presenters, and also mainly thanks to the audience who has spent their morning with us. I sincerely hope that this webinar was interesting and will help you on your digital transformation journey. Before we end, I would like to share a few contacts with you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me personally regarding the webinar and community-related topics. And if you're interested in Tieto Every's Workday services, then please reach out to any of the contacts displayed. To Emily in Sweden, Tom in Norway, and Hannele in Finland and globally. So that's all for me, and I wish you a great workday.